10 stories people simply wanted to share, according to Reddit. Number 10. This happened about a month or so ago. I work at a hospital and I was leaving late. There was maybe 4 or 5 cars left in the parking lot. It was below freezing and had recently snowed, so my windows were covered in ice. I don't have one of those scrapers about the length of your forearm. Instead, I have a giant extendable scraper with a brush on one end. I had turned my car on to get the heat going and went about scraping the ice off of the window so I could see. After a couple of minutes of this, I hear what sounds like someone running through the lot, except it's late at night and there's no one else there. I look up and there's a guy wearing hospital pants and a shirt with no shoes, running right at me from the hospital. I'm confused and turn to face him with a giant ice scraper in my hands. He changes direction slightly and runs by me by about 1 foot. As he goes by, he turns his face and says hi to me and keeps running. He gets to the corner of the parking lot covered in snow drifts and jumps into them and disappears into the woods. I'm really confused, looking around for what the hell just happened and to see if he's coming back. Nope. I shrug and turn back to get the ice off my car. Then I hear the sound of more running and there's security guards hauling ass from the hospital into the parking lot. He stops and swivels his head around quickly, spots me and runs over, asks if I saw anyone go by. I say, yeah, some guy just ran off into the woods and pointed him in the direction. The security guard swears and goes tearing off into the snow and woods himself. About 20 seconds later, he comes back over the drift and is talking on a walkie. As he's walking back, I ask him what's going on, and the security guy says that was a patient. Very confused. You don't get security guards chasing you if you leave a hospital. You can just sign yourself out. It hits me, and I ask which ward he was in. The guy looks uncomfortable and tells me the guy escaped from a psych ward, gets back on his radio, and runs into the building. I'm putting it together after he left and realized what had just happened. The escaped patient was looking for a way off the grounds, and I was standing next to a running car with my back to him. This guy was gonna jump me or knock me over and steal my car. Who knows what else? He just escaped from the psych ward. When I turned around and had a 4-foot hole with a scraper on it at the end, he decided it wasn't a good idea anymore. It's not often you're saved from a carjacking and likely violence by an unwieldy Christmas gift. It always pays to have a weapon on you. Number 9. My earliest memorable moment. I was at Disneyland with my parents when I was super young, and I somehow made a game out of banging my parents' bums like drums. Okay, so we ended up in big old crowd of people and I started banging the drums. Turns out I was banging on some stranger's butt as my parents caught me in the act from behind and pulled me away and apologized to the beaten stranger. I'm sure it was no harm, no foul. Number 8. I enjoy tracing my life's events and happenings back to the smallest of details that had the most profound impacts. Long before I was born, my mom had my brother with another man at a very young age. Their relationship obviously failed on a whim. While working 2 jobs as an 18-year-old with a 3-year-old, took a trip to a horse track to show her son the ponies. She made a bet on an extreme long shot and won nearly $4,000 in 1980. With the money, she escaped, just picked up and left and started traveling west. Somewhere along the way, she met my dad, and they had me. I'm the result of a long shot trifecta bet at a horse track, and because of that, I always enjoy listening or visiting the horse track in whatever city I visit, hoping that a landfall win will lead me on a journey beyond my wildest dreams. How interesting. Number 7. I was driving on the highway a few years ago when the car in front of me pulled off to the side. The guy got out and then the car exploded. I don't know what made him get out, but the fireball from the car was insane. A commenter responds, probably at the last moment he looked at his CD player as the CD was going in and saw that it said mixtape written on it. Okay. Unless it was Kyle's mixtape. That explosion, wouldn't have made any sense. Number 6. When I got my driver's permit, I made some small talk with the lady as she was typing my information. Casual jokes, that kind of thing. Then she hands it to me saying, look it over and make sure everything is correct. So naturally, I start walking away, but I do look at it. I just give it a quick once over. And I notice it says sex, F. Oh. Now, I'm not female. I'm male. And I thought to myself, this is the only time I will ever get to make this joke. I turn around, and with a shaky, non-confident voice, I say, I didn't get an F in sex. No one laughed. She took my permit after I said, no, but really, it says female, and redid it, giving me a no one, or a new one, corrected. Number 5. My dad does stupid things on a fairly regular basis. Here are a few of his dad stories. He was in the local hardware store and wanted to test out a clamp. For some reason, he thought that it would be a good idea to clamp his hand. He wouldn't get it off and had to walk around the store for ages trying to get it removed. He had what he thought was a bottle of orange juice, so he shook it up to evenly distribute the pulp. Ew, I hate pulp and orange juice. Unfortunately, when he opened it up, he realized it was a bottle of soft drink and it was spraying all over the place. In a panic, he put it in his mouth on the bottle to stop it, and his cheeks filled with fizzy soft drink. Funniest thing to watch. For my 18th birthday, we hired a boat, and the rental guy was giving my dad instructions on how to work it since he'd never driven one before. The guy says something like, so does that make sense? And my dad was all, yep, got it. And the guy left, and my dad casually asked if anyone knew what he said because dad forgot to listen. He had to get out of the marina, dodging $1 million boats, and kept lurching in the wrong directions. My mom was terrified. Oh God. He tried to wipe super glue off of his hands using paper towel and ended up with bits of paper towel glued to his fingers. My God, those jeans went in you, motherfucker. When I was in school, everybody had a Surf brand shoulder bag. My parents cheaped out and got me a no-name backpack. One day, one of the straps broke, and I was really excited because it meant that he'd get me a good one. Except my dad decided that he would cut off the strap, thus turning it into one of those cool shoulder bags I wanted. Problem was, he accidentally cut off the good strap. Come on. We were waiting for my mom to finish at the hairdresser's, and dad points into the window and says, wow, mom looks great. The chair swivels around and it's some random dude. Oh my God. A couple of weeks ago, I got a text from him that said, could you come over when you're free? I'm locked in the bathroom. It turned out he was repainting the toilet door, and took the handle off but left the actual lock part in. So when he went to paint the inside, he became trapped. I had to actually go to his house to free him. Wow. This is the equivalent of Kevin. And if you don't know who Kevin is, type in Kyle Kevin. And my Lord, this is terrible. Number 4. In 2002, I followed the band Weezer for 5 shows on their Dusty West tour. I was with my girlfriend and best friend. The whole road trip was just an amazing experience, and we managed to not hate each other at the end. We also had a fake band. Our motto was, get popular, then make music. We set up a website for the band to tell our story and create shirts to wear at each show on the tour. It was the lamest, most awesome thing ever. At the end of the first show, we began taking to Weezer's, we began talking. They wrote taking, but it's supposed to be talking, you son of a bitch. We began talking to Weezer's new bass player, Scott, and he asked about the shirts. We stuck to the story of it being our band, and we were going for additional exposure. We asked if he wanted a shirt, and he said yes. We gave a shirt to him at the future stop. He liked it. Our fun with it had ended. The last stop on our road trip was our hometown. A whole group of our friends were joining us for the concert. The whole show was enjoyable. However, when they came out for the encore, Scott was wearing our band shirt. So that is the story of the only time our band ever had any sort of appearance on stage. What an adorable story. What an adorable story. Number 3. In middle school, I had a friend who was very good at literature, and he used to come late, very late. Once he was late for the math class for about 35 minutes, or by about 35 minutes. So when he came in, the teacher obviously started shouting at him. I remember she was saying something like, "Do you get any medals or diplomas for this? Then why are you doing this?" So just at that moment, a literature teacher comes in, searches for my friend in the classroom, and gives him a medal. I'm sorry, I just looked at Hannah like, oh my god. Yeah. How you like that? Later, it was revealed that he got bronze on the local literature contest. Oh my god. But the coincidence of these moments was hilarious. Ooh, boy. Do you get... Oh, shit. Here you are. Number 2, man. Ooh, what a doozy. I was a shy kid. I usually sat with my older brother on the bus, and I tended to mostly have friends who were older than me because they were actually my brother's friends. Well, when I entered the 5th grade and moved up to middle school, I got a new bus driver who was incredibly mean and absolutely set on segregating the bus by age. He yelled at me a few times for sitting with my brother. At some point, I just gave up and sat in front, sitting alone and reading books. I was pretty introverted and still am, so I didn't like talking to kids my own age. At some point during the year, I guess my bus driver noticed that I was reading books pretty often. He started to make sarcastic remarks about how I must be really intelligent to be reading all the time. He even came up with a super creative nickname for me, Book Boy. Every time I would get on the bus, he'd say, "Hey, book boy, what you reading today?" Or, "Why don't you have any friends? You need to put down Harry Potter." Not a chance. The final straw came on the bus ride home one day when he actually said over the intercom, "Will someone come sit with Book Boy? He needs to make some friends." I was 10 years old. I went home in tears that day and told my mom about the awful stuff that my bus driver was about. She told me not to feel bad, that I'm a smart kid, and that he's just a dumb bus driver. She said that when I grow up, I'll be surely more successful than him, and that don't take anything he says to heart because he's just unhappy with how his own life turned out. Maybe he wishes he read books when he was my age. I was feeling pretty good about myself after that, and I read books with continued vigor. A few days later, as he was dropping me off, my bus driver finally asked me, "So, Book Boy, why are you always reading so much?" And without missing a beat, I said, "So I don't have to grow up to be a bus driver." I hopped off the bus without even turning to see the wreckage. "Oh my god, you need ointment for those burns? Bing bong." I'm currently 22 years old and working as a software engineer. Suck it, bus driver. As we reach number 1, on this list of 10 stories that, 10 stories that, you know, people simply wanted to share. Oh, somebody's going to enjoy that fuck up. You know, it's muscle memory at this point, guys, but I didn't change it from last night. I'd like to take a quick moment to thank my patrons for being amazing. I'm going to be streaming tonight, so that's about an hour after this may go live. Is it raining?
Yes.
Oh shit, it's pouring.
Heavily.
I want to go get that Pokestop. So, I want to thank my patrons for being, amazing. And, God, I just thank you. Thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you for just allowing me to continue doing what I do, because I genuinely want to make people happy and, you know, give them something of a break or a distraction, or, I don't know, you know? Holy bing bong. So number 1 on this list. I used to work at an inner city thrift store. Want to try that word again? I used to work at an inner city thrift store. One day, this hot mess of a drag queen comes in. He's wearing sparkly false eyelashes, bubblegum lipstick, and also a long blonde wig. He's got one of those see-through mesh shirts on and a tiny leather skirt. He also has on pink fishnet stockings and lucite stripper heels. Jesus Christ. He asked me if I've ever seen a certain man. And when I point in the general direction, he starts to head over. When the guy sees the drag queen, he starts pushing over shelves and hitting people trying to get out of the store. The drag queen lifts up his skirt and pulls out a small gun from a thigh holster. He shouts, "Police, you motherfucker!" and starts running after him. The drag queen tackles him to the floor with plastic heels still on. Turns out this was an undercover cop, and the guy he was after was arrested for illegal human trafficking. Jesus Christ, can we stop trying to enslave people? Oh, terrible, terrible stuff. But what a comical image. I really need to get a better chair. That or some high heels. Are there high heels on my... Hey, there's the chair. Wait a minute. I don't think the chair was at the top of my wish list, which means somebody bought something. Somebody bought something, and I'm gonna have to figure out what it was.
What did they buy?
I'm not sure. Well, guys, I love you, and I will catch you tonight for the live stream. I wanted this to be a quicker list, and I'm wondering if I should start recording just 10, you know? Like, so whenever you see me do a 10, you know that it's recorded, and if it's way more, then you know that it was probably a stream. I should make the live streams more apparent, but man, YouTube is immediately demonetizing everything I upload, so, you know, I'm it's all for you guys anyway. I need to figure out just a way to please most people, because you can't please all the people all the time. If there's something specific you want, leave it in the comment section, and I'll be here, and you'll see me soon. Love you. Talk to you later. Bye.